I love a good rainfall. The sound, the smell, and the mist on my skin, it's all very relaxing. But I don't think I'd be able to enjoy it like this if I didn't have a safe, dry place to enjoy it from. I love the feeling of coldness and the wind on my skin because I know there's warmth and a shelter place in just a couple footsteps. A really great home, a house that doesn't just provide shelter, but a house that inspires you and invigorates your senses. A house like that, it lets us experience both protection and exposure by carefully mediating between the outside and the inside world. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name's Dami and I am a licensed architect in a very wet, rainy Vancouver, BC. On this channel, we talk about architecture and design, and today we'll be talking about design strategies that take advantage of the conditioned environments and also the exposed, unconditioned environments. This is a part of a design series where I try to break down some of the lessons that I learned on my road trip, where I visited 111 Frank Lloyd Wright buildings scattered across North America, as well as some proven strategies from books like The Good House and the Good Old Ching Book. I'll leave the links to these books below. So apparently, Frank Lloyd Wright jokingly said, a good building should let the rain leak in a little. Because he understood what a wonderful experience it is to experience the weather from a dry, safe comforts of your home. I'm sure there's architects who introduce water in accidentally, but once your building is watertight, introducing water as a experiential element, it can really elevate your designs. There's a couple ways you can do this. You can introduce a roof with deep eaves where people can sit inside near an open window and watch the landscape and listen to the rain and smell the rain. In this case, the overhang forms a boundary between the wet and the dry areas. A porch is also a wonderful thing. It can serve as an extension of the living room, it animates the building, it animates the streetscape, and it's a place where your family can get together to experience a summer storm. You can also use little details to introduce water. Japanese homes typically have a deep overhang, and the water from the roof drains down an exposed drain rather than through a downspout. And it creates this really delicate pattern of light when the water trickles down the chain. Frank Lloyd Wright was heavily inspired by Japanese architecture, and he incorporated chains into a lot of his designs. One of his homeowners said that when the rain falls, it sounds like a waterfall. In the summer, the chain becomes a memory of the rainfall. I think one of the best things in life is sitting by a campfire on a chilly evening. You could incorporate this into your house by introducing an outdoor fireplace or a fire circle in the backyard or an outdoor barbecue pit. If you want to incorporate an element you can touch, materials with thermal mass in a south-facing wall is also an elegant solution. Thermal mass, of course, is the ability for the material to absorb and hold heat for a long period of time, which is why when you sit on a stone bench on a sunny day, you can feel the heat on your skin. Frank Lloyd Wright used not just thermally massive materials, but radiant floor heating in all of his homes in his signature Cherokee red floor tiles. He was the first architect in North America to popularize the system. And fun fact, a lot of people think he took this when he was on his trip to Japan, which is true. But radiant floors were never a part of traditional Japanese architecture. When he was in Japan, he was invited to a Japanese home, and the homeowners had visited Korea, which actually does have a very long history of using heated stones to warm the floors, and it's called ondol. And I actually have very distinct memories of sitting and playing and sleeping on the warm floors of my grandma's house when I was a kid. And this is definitely something I want to incorporate into my own home someday. You could also include a south-facing reading nook where you can sit and take in the warmth of the sun even when the room itself is cool. Another way of linking hot and cold is to create an outdoor room that's open to the garden or the yard, and it's partially roofed, and it's surrounded by at least 2 to 3 walls of the house to create a sense of enclosure. The room is typically large enough to have a dining table and chairs, and it has a fireplace to warm you in the evenings. During the hot summers, it creates a border between the cool interior and the hot exterior. An ingle nook is a very nice way to connect the fire and the rest of the room. Typically, it has a lower ceiling than the rest of the room and benches at right angles on either sides. And because it's an enclosed environment that's still a part of the rest of the room, you can experience both the controlled warmth of the fireplace and the coolness of the rest of the room. So my friends and I go camping in BC once a year, and we've been doing this for about 10 years now. And one of the years we decided, okay, let's just invest in a good tent, because there's 5 of us and we always bring our own separate tents, and we usually don't have space for it in the car, and it's just a huge hassle. And so we were just like, okay, let's go to Costco, let's invest in a good tent. And so this tent is amazing. It fits all 5 of us, and there's a top layer that can be opened up, and it just leaves this mesh. And sometimes we just open it up when it's warm so that we can look at the stars. And it just brings in this wonderful, refreshing, warm summer breeze that is just so delightful. And although you're sleeping on the ground on an air mattress, I get the most amazing night's sleep. I think the feeling of wind on your skin is a tactile and it's a very pleasant experience. But if you don't properly protect the space by contrasting it with still air, it can get pretty unpleasant. A partly enclosed courtyard is a good way to control the wind so that you can experience a little bit of both. When we went to visit the Alhambra in Granada, we had to walk up this hill, and our whole walk up there was very, very windy. And as soon as we walked into the courtyard, I was amazed by the stillness and quiet. And, I couldn't hear the wind. And I think more than the visual separation, the acoustic and tactile separation made the space feel much more unique. There are some ways to replicate this condition when you're designing a house. In the 1920s, sleeping porches were very popular, where you had a bed in a covered porch or an outdoor living room. And that just sounds so wonderful. It kind of reminds me of being a kid again. And finally, I'd like to share a quick message from our sponsor, Pacific Arc, who have kindly provided me with all the tools that I'm using in this video. So when I was in architecture school, I couldn't afford to buy nice pens or pencils because they're all quite expensive. Pacific Arc is great because they carry high quality architecture supplies at a very affordable price. I think good quality tools should be available to everyone, no matter where you are in your architectural journey, because it's a very long journey, and the tools that you draw with, it makes a really big difference. If you enjoy sketching with something, the chances are you are going to sketch more, which is how you get better. I've been working with Pacific Arc to curate a kit of products on their website, which you can find in the description. And if you use my promo code, you can get an additional 20% off all of their products. If you're interested in more design strategies, check out my other video where I show you how you can control the inside and outside conditions to create contrast when you're designing a house. I'll leave it right here. You might also be interested in strategies that you can use to present your design. I have a video on 4 presentation tips. I'll leave it right here. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed and want to see more design strategies, please subscribe. And if you have any other design strategies that you want to learn about, leave it in the comments and I will try to get to them as fast as possible. And with that, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.